INSEAD, the OECD, and Telefónica have been collaborating for the last 2.5 years on a report to assess the technological readiness and the level of innovation in Latin America. The report, entitled InnovaLatino, was released in early May. And here to tell us about it and to assess the report itself is Lourdes Casanova. She is a lecturer in the strategy department at INSEAD. Lourdes, welcome to INSEAD Knowledge. Lourdes, what are some of the key findings of this report?
The first one is an obvious one, is that there is a lot of innovation in the region. There are institutions, most of the cases public institutions, that are fostering innovation. One very important one is FINEP in Brazil, a public institution that is responsible for much of the success of Brazil. In Brazil, you also have Embrapa, an agricultural institute that is behind the enormous success of Brazil in becoming an agricultural powerhouse. Brazil is today, after the US, the second most important agricultural country in the world. So that's very important. That's a first finding, celebrating the innovation that is coming from those institutions, from the private sector, big companies, but also small companies that have leaders that are young, that have been educated everywhere in the world, in the best universities, and that have come to their countries, have come back to their countries with a global vision. And they start small companies that are very innovative and at the same time global from the beginning. We have a number of companies in the IT sector, in business processes and software development that are in Brazil, Stefanini, Totus, in Chile, Sonda, in Mexico, Softec, that are world leaders. Then we also find innovation in what we call social, that has to do with a compromise with our societies. We have had Rodrigo Baggio today here in the launching of InnovaLatino that has explained his compromise with Brazil to help overcome all the major social problems in the Brazilian favelas, giving hope to all these students in their schools, giving them tools, computer skills, so that make them much easier in the workplace.
We tend to think of Latin America as being a little bit backward because of its low rankings.
We measure innovation in a very traditional way, in investments in R&D, in patents, in number of PhDs, number of publications. In many of these rankings, traditionally, Latin America has not done well. But what we have found in the report is that in spite of these lower rankings, sometimes it's not that easy when you are a poor entrepreneur or you don't have all the resources. It's not easy to file for a patent. So sometimes you avoid it and hope for the best to keep the copyrights around your invention. But definitely we see much more innovation that does not appear in the rankings and is there. So I'm not saying that Latin America doesn't have to invest in innovation. They have to. The number of patents, the number of publications that is going up has to be even higher, and definitely the investments in R&D have to be higher. But definitely what we have seen in the report is this capturing innovation. What we have done is capturing innovation that does not come from traditional sources.
So what's next? Clearly you've learned something from the report. Now what do you do?
We hope to continue the report. We want to continue what we have done. We want to we have developed 55 what we call vignettes of these different examples of innovation that we want them to become role models for the youth and for the societies in general. So we want to continue in a viral way with using social media to upload small videos with all these experiences all over the region. We want to continue that. We are discussing with a number of institutions how to continue this, what we have just started. I think it's very important that we continue this research in the coming years with the institutions that are important in the region.
My last question has to do with how you see Latin America in the next 3 to 5 years. What is your vision?
There are three very important elements that are going to be very positive in the next years. Number one is commodity prices that continue to be high, and the region is exporting commodity prices, so that can help Latin America with funds to to solve the enormous social problems that the region has and to increase the number of middle class citizens. That's one. Another one I see also, let's don't forget the Olympic Games and the World Cup in 2014 and the Olympic Games in 2016 that arrived in the region in Brazil, but definitely will put Brazil in the map and will also help the whole region in marketing and branding efforts. And definitely these new middle classes will increase domestic demand and will favor the development of the region.
Lourdes Casanova, thank you very much for being with us on INSEAD Knowledge.
Thank you, Sally.